Ahoy, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to Friday Night Shite. This is a new, it's not a new feature at all, it's just got a new name. How's everyone doing? It's the 24th of June, but we're not doing the BBC Spews today. We're doing random bollocks because it's for Friday. How's everyone doing? Someone who sent me that there, Bootneck, you need to try some Jack Daniel's single barrel. 64.5%. You know what I'd keep a bottle of that in my house for? If I was living in like a big city like London or Manchester, I'd keep a bottle of that in my house. So when the inevitable swarthy foreign gentleman turned up on my doorstep with machetes, I could just make a Molotov cocktail out of it and blow the cunts up. That was my plan when my friend sent me a video of some middle-class London twat who was hanging out of his window going, you're all on camera, chaps. You're all on camera. When they were blatantly trying to saw the chains off his bike, off his 10 grand bike. And they promptly, obviously, did. And he lost his bike and did nothing about it because he actually thought holding a camera out of a window and saying, you're on camera, lads. A middle-class arsehole actually thought that'd have some event, some effect on them. And they were like, you shut up, you, like chain, sawing through the fucking chains with an angle grinder. Yeah, so that's what I'd use that for, blow someone up. What are we talking about then? Anyone got any good news for me? Oh yeah, and I'm going to send a link to Al because I'm trying to figure this out, see if you can invite people on. There he is. Have that. Mr. Whiskey Straight, if you're around. He was always replying to drinking some, what was it? 49.5% Ezra Brooks bourbon. I'm not a fan of bourbon. I just can't, whenever I've tried it, it's been too sweet. Genuinely, compared to Scotch whiskey, which I do like, it always seems to have an aggressive, sweet. Just tastes like sugar to me. I mean, I haven't tried loads because I typically don't drink it. But, you know, Jack Daniel's or Wild Turkey or any of them sort of Southern American drinks. What's Southern Comfort? I remember I tasted that once. It was like fucking liquid sugar. So I think it's something to do with bourbons made with like corn or something, isn't it? It's a lot more of a sweet drink. Oh, look, someone else is on Twitch. How you doing, Tel? All right. Welcome. Not many followers on Twitch. Twitch apparently are even more PC than YouTube. So, you know, I can imagine they don't like me dropping all the F-bombs on here. Great news from Scotus. Yeah. Well, I mean, as you know, Maggie, the bootneck is quite ambivalent on that issue, isn't he? It's like, I don't think the state should really be involved in that type of thing. You're a raddled spunk Bowser and you want to get your fucking piss flaps vacuumed twice a month. It's got nothing to do with me. I do think it's detestable the way they're going about it, though. As if it's no big deal destroying what is at the very least a viable human life, whether or not you think life begins at conception or not. What's your favourite biscuits, Mike? There's a good question. I fucking love biscuits. When I sit down to smash biscuits, I can do tons of them. I blame that on me being a bootneck and drinking lots of tea, and also being a fat twat. So when I go for it, I can smash them into me. I know it's going to sound like blasphemy, but I even like the American ones. The first time I ever tried an Oreo, I remember it was when I was visiting my missus over here, probably like 12 years ago or something now, fucking ages ago. And she was like, oh, try these. I've never had one before. And I remember I dipped one in and I went, yep. And I was like, that's not bad, but they're a bit too thin. Sort of dissolve quick. They're not nails like hobnobs. So then I grabbed two and I was like, bosh. And a mate was like, fucking, look at him go. He's doing them two at a time, up to the knuckle. Bam, bam, bam. I can do 2 trays of Oreos in about fucking 90 seconds. So they're all right. But obviously, proper biscuits, I think I'm going to be controversial and say not one of the ancient ones, which I ate all the time as a child. Like when I was 7, custard creams were my favourite because I remember being a little kid smashing absolutely shitloads of custard creams. But as I grew up, Jammy Dodgers changed the recipe and they just sort of had jam in. And when I was a little kid, do you remember Jammy Dodgers used to always have the creamy bit in as well? They were like small, circular, little dot of jam with a sort of lined top. And you always had cream in there as well. And then I bought some like Burton's Jammy Dodgers, a couple of decades ago now. Took them home and realised they don't put the creamy bit in anymore. And that annoyed me. So my favourite biscuit became Happy Faces. Do they even make them anymore? Let me Google that. Happy Faces. What are they called? Happy Faces? Yeah, there they are. They still make them. United Biscuits. That's my favourite. And I would have said Jammy Dodgers, but that's my favourite biscuit because Jammy Dodgers removed the cream element and I'm a big fan of it. Also like bourbons and ginger nuts. Yeah. Basically, I like all the English biscuits. Garibaldi are even all right. I didn't like them when I was a kid. But Trios, I think they still do the Trio. Jammy fucking creamy. I've never heard of one of them. That sounds... Was your mum getting them off a Pakistani gentleman at the local market? If they were called Jammy Creamies. Never heard of them. I remember Happy Faces and Jammy Dodgers. I've never heard of a Jammy Creamy. Did you buy them off an Iranian gentleman on the black market? Like you leapt out of an alley with a trench coat on and went, Jammy Creamy? Yeah, it's probably got fucking powdered glass in the cream. Right, so there we go. We've talked about biscuits. I didn't foresee that one. Any good news stories? Anyone's interested? Oh, here we go. Libs of TikTok's popped up. Let's just watch this for fun. We need to burn it all down, all right? Let's listen.
So I'm just convinced we need to burn it all down. Because at this point, I don't know what else we're supposed to do. I'm advocating for violence. I am advocating for violence because there are people that are doing a really bad job. But the problem with the job is, even though they're doing such a bad job, they do this job until they die. So we're just supposed to sit back and let these people do a really bad job and have really seriously negative consequences on millions of people. And we're supposed to do what? Sit on the sidelines? Light it on fire.
Yeah, interesting take. Not a very nuanced take on it, is it? The interesting thing is, if anybody who doesn't share her politics said something even remotely fucking similar, they'd be in shackles as we speak. If I again, like I said, I actually got an email today. You know what I could do? I could share my email because that's something randomly I can talk here about. Some bloke sent me an email today and said, "Hi, I'm Tim. I live in London. I work for a tech company called Quench that does video memberships and content for YouTube, for YouTubers. One of my best friends was at uni in Middlesbrough. I laughed at your mention of it. I'm getting in touch and I'd like to hear your thoughts on a strategy for your content on YouTube and whether you'd like to be earning more money through it. I saw what you were doing. You have your own website and a subscribe site. That looks interesting. I'd be happy to show you what we could work on for some of our video members, and we can even make a concept site for you. I'd look forward to hearing from you, and it'd be great to have a chat. Tim." Actually, can I share my screen? Although I don't want to share my fucking... Hang on, that'll be all right if I share that tab. I never know how it's going to fucking go over this stuff when you hey, see that. So I wrote back. Here we go. Can you read that? It's a bit small. Zoom in. But hey, Tim, thanks for writing. Regarding the concept site, while I do like the look of jonks, sadly I think it's probably a waste of time for me. Ultimately, what I do is basically just a hobby. I have a full-time job. I'm not reliant on my digital content for my income, and alas, therein lies the problem. As a result of it being a side gig, I've never allowed political correctness to cause me to button my lip. And after seeing how the wankers in Silicon Valley have behaved for the last 2 years, I don't believe what I do is in any way commercially viable. I don't believe I am practicing false modesty when I say I'm better at what I do on the fly of comical political commentary than 99% of those on YouTube, and yet my content has been so aggressively strangled by the powers that be, almost nobody sees any of it, including most of my own subscribers. They simply do not show it, advertise it, or promote it. And as such, I don't see the point in attempting to overturn the status quo by spending any money on the endeavour. I would happily drop £1,000 on paying a professional to make me a snazzy website and attempt to promote it. But I'm firmly on the tech oligarch shit list, and I cannot see any of it being worthwhile, regardless of what either of us have to say about it. The animator that he shared with me, this is junk. And the like it works for because it isn't politically engaged. But standing against the woke in cyberspace is about as worthwhile as teaching a pig to skateboard. Obviously, being a grizzled old soldier, I'm much more of a cynical realist than a youthful idealist. Thanks very much for the offer, but I think I'm going to stubbornly crack on gaining 50 subs a month, earning about $10 a month from my digital activities, and stubbornly spitting facts into cyberspace until they unceremoniously throw me off the platform for being reasonable. If things change, and it seems that the powers that be have changed their attitude towards me, I will, of course, write you back, and you lads can knock me something up. But in the short term, I see little point to it. Thanks for your time. I read you that because I think that's related to what I was going to say about that fucking wokeist on Twitter. Ultimately, the woke run the world. You don't get to disagree with George Soros. And if I shared anything even remotely akin to what that unhinged wokeist just did, that fucking door would have got booted in. My front door would be off its hinges, and the SWAT team would have me in a fucking chokehold. I'd be scratching the back of my fucking head with my own hand because I'd be copper locked on the floor with my legs splayed. As I keep saying, we are the embattled minority. They love to talk about, oh yeah, tear it all down. You're the ones that are in charge. These little blips on the radar only serve to allow the wokeists to try and convince everybody that they aren't the ones holding with the hands on the whip, and everybody who's paying attention knows that to be the case. We don't get to be in charge. We just don't. Did I see the vid you sent, Kate? No, I didn't. Let me have a look for that. Although, oh no, was that a few days ago? Yeah, I saw that one, I think. Yeah, the short. Yeah, I did watch that. The midget. Yeah, that is. It's funny. It's look at the Abbott joke I sent you on Messenger. Yeah, hang on then. Let's have a look at that one. I always like them. I've had some good stuff on Facebook lately. It seems like Facebook have got slightly less authoritarian when compared with everybody else. I think Facebook is slightly better than YouTube. What do you reckon? Let's have a look on Messenger. It's sort of, I'll tell you what though, the UI is a bit annoying on Facebook. Flitting between my own personal Facebook and the Angry Bootneck's Facebook is hard work. Let's have a look. Diane Abbott joined the RMT union members on their picket line today, but apologised for being an hour late. She said, I would have been here earlier, but my train didn't turn up. Not terrible, somewhat corny, but it's not bad, Mark. Fucking Abbott. The Abbopotamus has got the IQ of a pork pie, hasn't she? And that's just a fact. That goes to show you one of the worst things about this sort of modern identity politics thing is that the most incompetent people in the world can fucking get into power, can't they? There is absolutely nobody in the right mind. If there was a blind voting process, think of it this way: you can prove that it's down to identity politics. If there was a blind voting process and you didn't see what the candidate looked like or the name, all you saw was they did all the. I mean, maybe this is a good idea for the modern era, but if all of the campaign speeches and all of the things they wrote, all the newspaper columns, all the advocacy they embarked upon was from behind a screen, you never got to hear them talk. They got an actor to read the lines for them, and you never got to see them. There is absolutely nobody in the fucking world who would vote for Diane Abbott. Yeah, with a fake, ridiculous, posh voice. There is nobody in the world who would vote for Diane Abbott. And people who have a rough northern twang like me might actually be able to win an election somewhere, mightn't they? Because I do hate the snobbery whereby, I don't know what it is, the human brain, where we've decided that talking posh means you're clever. But yeah, there's no way. Abbott would have no fucking chance. Hello, Rotten Politics. How you doing? Oh, Al's here, isn't he? Let me see if I can unmute him. I don't know how this is going to work. I've never done it before. There he is. Although it says, as usual, Al, that your mic's not connected. It said, you cannot unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected. So I'll put you back on when you rectify that problem. Now it's all over the place. There we go. Yeah, so that's not a bad idea, is it? What else have we got? Oh, yeah, I wanted to show you this one because this is funny, isn't it? Look, the moment Roe versus Wade was overturned. Yeah, that looks like an angry mob, doesn't it? An angry mob. All right, let's see if I can get Al back on. It says his mic's working now. Al, how are we doing?
Hi, all good. What about yourself, mate?
There we are. I can hear you, finally.
How's the sound? Is it all right?
Yeah, spot on. Probably better than mine. You know, I'm not a tech guru. I'm a bootneck.
Well, obviously the picture is too. Look at this.
How have you been? This, everybody, is Al. We used to talk quite regularly, although that was fucking ages ago. That was before I moved back to the UK, wasn't it?
The last one was actually on my 50th birthday, a year and a half ago.
Was it that long ago?
Not long ago, yep. But I have managed to keep myself young and fit by preserving myself with the old alcohol.
I thought you were going to say by Big Al standards, which for a man who basically drinks whiskey for a living, that's not those aren't the highest of standards, are they?
Yeah, well, sure, it's not a bad way to be. You know, when you're retired, you know, finally found something that I'm really good at. Fuck
a talent, yeah. You've got a gift for drinking booze. I think you've probably got a genetic predisposition towards that as well, haven't you?
Ooh, stereotyping.
I do that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it does work. It's fucking true. Really
I don't think it's just the Irish though. I think it's basically everybody in those isles. I mean, look at the Scots, the Bucky dwellers up north of Hadrian's Wall. They're not exactly teetotal, prim and proper lot, are they?
No, that's it. We just do it better to a higher standard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
As the late great Dean Martin said, you're not really drunk unless you're lying on the floor and you have to hold on.
Oh, God. You know, I haven't felt that bad since I was about 20. I think the last time I got really drunk, I remember it, in fact, it was when I smoked a tab, you know, like when you're not really a full-time smoker, but every now and then you get pissed and you have one. That's like what I was like when I was a young lad. I remember smoking a tab out my window and then lying down and the entire world fucking proper spinning, so you're going to balk. But that hasn't happened to me for 20 years. I think it's tobacco and alcohol mix what does that to me.
Yeah, it's not good when you're not used to it.
No. Chewing tobacco. Have you ever had chewing tobacco?
Once, and it was absolutely fucking disgusting. No, never again.
Oh, it is manky, isn't it? When I visited my mate in Nashville, he was like, have some of that. And he said, just have a nip. And I was like, fuck off, because I was pissed. Put like a snowball-sized lump of it in my mouth. And I was like, nom, nom, nom. And sure enough, like about a minute later, the world was spinning and then I balked my guts up in his sink. It's dangerous stuff, that chewing tobacco. It cuts out the middleman, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, sure, that's what it's all about, you know. You got to be cost effective. Like all the stuff I've got recently is all fucking bought on offer and stuff. And just because of my feeling a wee bit sorry for you, you know, because that high proof stuff would put even more hairs in your chest and make you look even more like a hairy wee Ewok.
I don't need help. I don't need help putting hairs on my chest. Definitely not.
I've got some Tam the Villain, which is white wine cask edition. It's only 40%, so that's.
How is it?
I've just had a wee sip of it there. It's not too bad. I'm not a fan of Tam the Villain in general course, but this one's actually seems to be not too bad in first impression. It's all right for 22 quid, like.
Now that's not a bad price. Well, I've told you, right? My theory on whiskey, it's why I like Johnny Walker Black. It's because it's that middle ground between price and taste. That's how I think you should booze. Not the cheap piss from Aldi that tastes like fucking metal. but not the expensive shit because, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather drink Black Label than Blue Label because Blue Label's like 10 times the price, but not as nice.
Funny you say that. I watched the Mash and Drum, a guy called Jason C, and he did all the Johnny Walker range, the black, the double black, the green, the gold, and the blue, blind tasting, and the black top.
There you go. What have I always told you? See? Although, to be honest, I'm not an expert. I've tasted like 3 of them, and that was defo the best. This is years ago, and ever since then, if I'm drinking whiskey, that's what I fucking am.
Well, people often ask me, what's the best whiskey? And I was like, the one you like the best, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I've got no time for. I hate fucking people out here in California because I now live in Central California and it's right in the middle of wine country. And I hate wine snobs. You know, the people who like proper like talk down to you, like, oh my God, I can't believe he's drinking a blend. It's like, fucking suck it. How does that sound? Like, drink whatever you fucking like in it. If it works for lager, why doesn't it work for wine or whiskey? Is what I say.
Because if you want to put water in it, you want to put an ice cube in it, you want to put Coke in it, you want to put lemonade in it, fill your boots.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. That's what it's all about.
I remember when I was
enough, you can go on Twitter and troll people.
Yeah. I remember when I was living in York as well, there was a bar I used to go in with my missus called the Rook and Gaskill. And it became popular because the bloke that worked in there was such a wanker. I used to actually take my friends in on purpose. Say, look at the bartender in here, he's a cunt. You know, like you'd walk in and I remember I took 2 of my friends in to see him. And she said, where's the best place to sit around here? And he said, over the road. And I was like, oh, this guy's brilliant. And he was a mega whiskey snob and he told her off for ordering Coke with a cheap whiskey she got. I was like, it's fucking cheap shit. If you're drinking fucking, you know, if you're drinking some 90 quid bottle of whiskey, maybe say, is that the wise thing? But if some fucking bird walks in and says, give me the house whiskey with a Coke in it, you don't have a pop, do you?
They used to say to me at work, I was snobbish when it came to whiskey and coffee and stuff like that because I liked the better things. And I was like, no, I'm just a cultured culture. You drink whatever the hell you want. I drink what I want. And you know what? It really made it, I think today, it made me smile. I was out in the front garden with my daughter, and we live along the main road. And the big Drinks Incorporated lorry that supplies all the local shops with their alcohol came thundering past. And the guy driving it tooted the horn and put the hand up. I was like, whoa, fuck, he must know me.
That's quality.
It is. So he must be a quiet follower on YouTube or somewhere.
That's good. I've still never seen anyone in an Angry Bootneck t-shirt, but I live in hope one day.
Oh, Jesus, well, I'll have to get one then and one of my forthcoming reviews.
Yeah, I don't make any money off of it. I just like the idea of seeing my shit art somewhere in public.
I should have an alter ego with the Angry Whiskey Lad.
The Angry Whiskey Lad. Yeah. The Angry Can Man would do me because I drink cans more than whiskey. So let's not just talk about booze the whole time. It's been a year and a half. How's politics in Northern Ireland? The last time I seen anything major to come out of Northern Ireland political was just related to all this fucking stuff with the customs union. I've seen Kate Hoey a lot on GB News saying basically we got stitched up by the Tories. Like, what's the feeling like on the ground there in NI? Are people just massively pissed off?
Well, it depends on which side you are, you know.
Obviously.
People in Northern Ireland are always pissed off about one thing or another. Yeah. And, well, basically, if you look back to way back in the day, like we talked about before, when there were characters in politics, and I think it wasn't Ken Livingstone, it was what you call him, Dennis
Skinner.
Yeah, I think it was him that said the people of Northern Ireland will not be screwed over by Labour, they'll be screwed over by the Conservatives.
Yeah.
And I think he had a point there. But at the end of the day, if you're all part of the United Kingdom, everything should be the same following Brexit. But the world's going to hell in a handcart, and
it is, isn't it?
Politics in Northern Ireland it's just a shit show, and it has been for years. They can't do anything. They're always fighting about something, and I don't think they'll ever agree.
It's always difficult to gauge, isn't it? Because the political system that we use seems to reward failure and stupidity. And it's what I was saying about the UK. The UK is going to end up with the commie government come 2024. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind, because you're going to have 3-4 million, this is my estimate, based people who are, like me, turning their back on the Conservative Party. So you're going to end up with a coalition where you've got Lib Dems, SNP, Plaid Cymru, and fucking Labour. And yet they're going to be running the country. But you know for a fact, like 60% of the nation doesn't like any of them. And I would assume it's the same in Northern Ireland. There was a big hubbub made about Sinn Féin doing the best in the local elections recently. But I know for a fact, from talking with Ragnar and other people that I speak with, I know for a fact that they don't make up the majority of support in the country, do they? If it went to a referendum again and said, shall we just fuck off the UK and just become part of the Republic of Ireland? They wouldn't vote to do it, would they?
No,
so it's just more of this unrepresentative voting that you've got.
Where Sinn Féin have the advantage, and a lot of people disregard their background and, well, underground now, because they haven't changed. You know, they're bloody well organised. They're a finely tuned machine that can run circles around every other political party, and they're organised in every area. And there's people that don't even like them. I'll go to them for help with local issues because they'll actually do something. And that's probably what the appeal is to certainly, especially the younger people who haven't grown up like me through the Troubles and all that. And they're a really well-oiled machine. They're great at propaganda. And they never apologise. They just keep on going and going and going.
Yeah,
and
like a steamroller.
With a couple of weeks, something comes up. They just keep on with the same, and then it goes by, and nobody else can seem to get away with it. You know,
No.
Over here, you damn near have to have a prerequisite, and well, you know what, to get into government. You know,
the close ranks, well, the commies, don't they?
they're just different level.
This is something else, isn't it? I've talked about that, like, because obviously the normies don't pay enough attention. I'm convinced that even if I was a Catholic, die-hard Irish Republican, or if I was a hardcore Scottish nationalist who loves Scotland and wants Scotland to be self-rule and hates all the posh twats in England down south making all the rules, I remain convinced, because I know something about politics, that if I realised that as part of that deal I had to vote in what is essentially a bunch of commies or Marxist fucks, I'd still just go, you know what? Independence will have to wait, because I'm not a fucking commie.
Yeah.
And this is what I don't understand. I don't understand why every single anti-unionist group, be it the SNP, Plaid Cymru, or Sinn Féin in Ireland, I don't understand why you cannot detach actual nationalism from communism in the British Isles. I don't get it. You can be a nationalist in fucking any other country without being a commie. For some reason, in those three, like if you want your independence from the UK, you're a full-blown communist. You're not just a normal person who wants more home rule. Why do you think that is? What's the?
It's just the mindset, because they're just so set in their ways, and they keep having this, like the Scottish hate the English. You know, well, not maybe all of them.
Not all of them, but a significant minority.
You know, the Irish hate, well, the Brits. You know, and it's been going on for fucking generations. They're
centuries.
Everything's going back. Like I watched a thing there the other day, and they're talking about reparations for this, that, and the other thing. You know, and it always seems to be the slave trade, as if it just started in America and stuff like that. But I was watching a historical thing, and I know you're big into your history too, about King Canute. And I didn't know this, but he was the most successful Viking ever. He ended up as King of England, King of Denmark, and King of Sweden. You know, are we going to go and say that, right, Denmark, come on, I can pony up here. You were in charge of us for 4 years, you know. Give us
I know, yeah. The North Sea Empire. We can all say, I mean, fuck me. Even me, when I got my DNA done, I assumed I'd be predominantly Irish, Scottish. I was more Scandinavian than I was Irish, because the Northeast, Lindisfarne, is where they all first turned up, right? So there's documented evidence that, you know, we had raping and pillaging running amok. The fucking the Vikings, essentially, a lot of people who don't know the history think that they just took over, like, you know, they did a bit of raiding and they went home. But essentially, up until Alfred the Great twatted them, they were taking over the entire country. And after he battered them and they started the Danelaw, they basically cut a line through half the country, and the entirety of the fucking Midlands and the North was them. So we've got a case to say, oh, well, you cunts came here for raping and pillaging, or the Romans, or the fucking Persians, or the Egyptians, or the Ottomans, which was in the 1800s. But you don't hear anybody talking about it unless they've got a fucking tan, which is just lunacy, isn't it?
If King Canute's sons hadn't been such power-hungry little shits, you know, one each. One got England, one got Denmark, one got Sweden after it. And then because they were all that sibling rivalry, they all fought with each other and the whole thing went tits up after 4 years. And
yeah. That's history, isn't it?
Yeah. But as I say,
well, I mean, regarding that type of thing,
history, and they keep rewriting it.
Yeah.
You know,
which I keep saying, history is just a form of prophecy because nobody cares enough about it, and it's just constantly repeats itself, and it's going to repeat itself again, and you're going to have fucking revolution.
What they say on the mainstream media or the lamestream media, whatever you want to call it, or what somebody says in some talk show, and they'll just take it all in without going and checking to see what the actual history is.
It is. It's fucking madness.
You know.
Well, you can see more of that as well. I've talked about this before. You can see it's all about race now because the commies rebranded when they realised that the working class, as soon as they get a mortgage or a nice car, they all turn into capitalists. So the grand plan was to fucking turn us all into an intersectional umbrella instead. And then you outnumber them, you know what I mean? So it's like, all right, instead of the working classes, we'll just get the women, the disabled, the lesbians, the gays, the brown people, the black people, the fucking anyone. And then, ta-da, we've got our revolution again.
Yeah.
You can see how that's blatantly what's gone on because they're so blatant with it. They're so unoriginal. And the Japanese were bayoneting babies and setting up rape camps in the 1930s.
Yeah.
Nobody ever talks about it. All you ever get is the fucking Germans. Well, how come we talk about the Germans? Yeah, the rape in Nanking, yeah. We talk about the Germans all the time, but nobody ever mentions the Japanese. What's the difference?
But then there's the other thing too. If I know you watch Simon at History Debunked.
Yeah.
The video the other day about the concentration camps in London.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's from the year dot, everybody's done bad things to their enemies, and it's always the survival of the fittest.
Everybody.
But it just seems to be the Americans were bad because they took the land, well, from the Native Americans, and the Brits were bad because they went over, and basically because we're much better at fighting than others, took over different places. And now, but most of the places they were, well, yes, there were some bad things that happened. But mostly brought a bit of culture, a bit of structure, law to those places. And now they're all jumping on the bloody woke bandwagon. Oh.
All of them. I like John B using the politically correct terms in the chat. Right, what I'm going to have to do is, I told my missus I'd knock it on the head at 20 because she wants to go out. But I'm going to renegotiate the treaty.
Good stuff.
So I'm going to come back on in 5 minutes. But what I'll do is I'll end this here, and I'll put like an interlude on, and I'll come back in 5. So anybody who wants to stick around, I'm going to make a fucking cup of tea, and you can hang around as well, Al, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. All right. See you in a moment. Cheers, everyone. I won't be long, honest, unless I lose the argument, at which point I might be. See you in a moment. Oh, there we are. I'm back on. The best thing about being married for a long period of time is you can change the rules and they take it with stoicism and grace. Let's find a better. Yeah, there we go. Right, is the audio working? Why are the unfuckable whinging about abortion? Well, that's life, isn't it? Is the audio working? Just confirm for me, somebody in the chat, please. Can't hear Al anymore, though.
I'm here.
Oh, there he is. All right, I'll put him back on. Hang on. Yoink. There we go. You hear me, Alan?
I can. Can you hear me?
Sorted. Yeah, I'm back on.
Oh, you sound like my wife when she's like sort of cross. She calls me Alan.
Yeah, I only get the full name when I've done something wrong as well.
Yeah.
So here I am back. I told the missus, I was like, we're not going out for lunch today. I'm talking to Alan. And she went, don't know who he is. See you later.
Oh, she does. She sends me messages all the time.
Women. That fucking Jezebel. Did you see that? I was laughing yesterday watching Mark Stein on GB News when he said he was reading out some scathing criticism of Full Fact. And he said, basically, Full Fact is yet another. Well, like I said, they've took over everything. We've already lost. And he was saying, Full Fact's just an activist organisation masquerading as a fact-checking organisation. And they were like, the response to his criticism was, Full Fact is willing to change its mind when presented with evidence. We hope GB News is willing to do the same. And he was like, ooh, you saucy little minx. Like, he's fucking quality, Mark Stein. Definitely my favourite on terrestrial television, anyway.
He's really good. I laughed at a couple of things that John Kennedy said there in interviews in the last couple of days too. He said that if Joe Biden was in charge of the Sahara Desert, it would run out of sand. You know?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then he said that where I live, people are getting it so tight with inflation that they're coughing up bones, and the fuel, gas prices are so expensive that they'd be safer off just buying cocaine and running everywhere.
That's good. Buying coke and running everywhere. I like it. You know what's hilarious about that? Like, again, the people running the world do think we're absolute fucking morons. Like, you've got your computer in front of you and you can check the data on everything. It's always only a fingerprint away. And he keeps calling it the Putin price hike. And I was looking, it's like the price index, it's like, and then it's got the exact date when Russia invaded Ukraine. And it was months after everything had gone to shit. The Keystone Pipeline, I was reading about that, saying that the Keystone Pipeline was going to bring down almost 200,000 barrels of oil every single day. And we were only buying 150,000 off the Russians. So if he hadn't have collapsed the fucking Keystone Pipeline, we'd still have all those jobs. Everyone would still be at work, happy, productive. And the pipeline would be bringing down more oil than we used to buy off the fucking Russians in the first place. So how is it the Biden, the Putin price hike when it is an entirely self-made crisis purely because of green fucking lobbies, ridiculous politicization of the issue? It's a self-inflicted injury, that it's self-harm, just like the border issue when Trump was getting it under control. And then Biden went on telly during the debate and said, everyone who wants to come here should just come here. Everyone who wants to come here should be allowed. And all of a sudden you get 500,000 fucking strangers turn up and he goes, oh, that was weird. What's caused this? So you did it, you silly old twat.
Well, just put it like this. Here's a Glencairn. Right. That's America. These are the illegal immigrants. Well, I'm not going to keep cooking porn so it all falls out round. You know?
Yeah, that's not bad. The only thing that that analogy fails is the bottle's not fucking big enough. Because at the end of the day, you'd need a barrel. Like, this is what logical, reasonable people have been saying to these no borders extremists for years. There was a great quote that I read from a former Egyptian prime minister. And he said, educated Egyptians, secular Egyptians, view the United Kingdom as a life raft. And he said, but if you let everybody on the life raft fucking sinks. And you can just look at a map. check out population by country. See the fucking volume of people living in third world shitholes, to use Trump's famous term. You know, like as if everybody in the world doesn't use that term. And unfortunately, the simple fact is they are never, ever going to run out of people. This is what I constantly say to walkists when I'm arguing with the silly cunts on Twitter. How many is enough? How many is enough? You think if we let in 50 million Somalians, that they're going to run out? Do you think Morocco, Algeria, Pakistan, I can just reel them off? I think they're going to fucking stay put when we just start? Ultimately, there's a finite amount of space and not an infinite, but in real terms, it might as well be infinite amount of people because we've got a set amount of real estate in the Western world. And we've got literally fucking billions of people that would give the left bollock to come there. So name the figure. How many is going to be enough?
That's it. Did you see the video the other day? I think it was either Rotten Politics or We Got a Problem that highlighted that the guy going around the rally in London, you know, let them all in. Would you take
I did see that, yeah.
Oh, no, but I'm not allowed to. I just rent. I've not stuff space.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing is these people who are like, open this, open that. There's a thing, right? I support legal immigration, not fucking illegal. But, you know, does that mean if you want all these people to come into your country and you want open borders, do you go to fucking bed at night and leave your windows and doors open? Fuck, you know?
Yeah.
You know, do you want somebody to just come into your house, and if they're just come into your house, like, well, you fucking stay in the spare room. Well, you sleep on the couch. You stay in the fucking dining room, you know?
Yeah. It is. It's madness. Again, you can't speak to these people that don't understand logic.
They're not in my backyard crowd.
I'm not particularly right-wing on immigration. I'm just not. I've got 2.5 years of content. I'm not mega right-wing on immigration. I'm up for controlled migration because I, as a secularist person, understand that if you're a reasonable, let's say you're born in Pakistan, but your dad's like a fucking educated man, a doctor, and he wants better for his son, and he says to him, "Here, son, it's all bollocks, this. Some fucking little epileptic midget didn't have a conversation with God. It's all shite." He knows he can't say that without getting stoned to death, right? So he's going to tell his kid, "Get yourself to England, son." And if that kid has been told by his dad for all his childhood, it's all bollocks, Western values are the best, secularism is the best, I support the idea that that kid, through legal means, can get to Britain and fucking have a better life. But
he can't stay with Guy and Annika because he's fucking.
Yeah, with fucking Troy. They're always got stupid names, haven't they? Troy and Patricia. And the thing is, they're in the tiny minority. The majority in poor countries are poor, badly educated, religious zealots, because access to education usually comes in hand with wealth. And again, people like you and I can have an hour-long conversation about immigration and still not get anywhere near it. And the reason the left always want to turn everything into a soundbite is because then they can just go, "Hey, you're a fascist." And they think that the argument's won. But when you really deep dive into it, which is why they never let you speak and they don't allow you to talk about it, any reasonable person will see you're not racist, you're not bigoted, you're not xenophobic, you're just asking logical questions. We've got a finite amount of space. There's a functionally endless amount of people who want to come here. Surely the best solution is to vet them, let in some people that we think would fit in well, and make the lives better for all of those people. But if you just get rid of the process and say, let's let everybody go everywhere, then the first world becomes the third world. And if we just draw a really simplistic line in the sand and say, everybody in the first world's happy and everybody in the third world's unhappy, 25% of the world's happy and 75% of the world's fucking miserable. If we go with their plan, 100% of planet Earth will be fucking miserable. So surely my cynical, realistic plan, slowly allow immigration in, control the process, integrate them, and gradually build the size of your infrastructure and gradually turn the third world into the first world, is a better idea than let them fucking all flood to Canada and England and fucking Scotland, and then in 40 years' time, the whole fucking world will be a shithole and everybody will be miserable. I mean, I think my plan's better.
Yeah. Well, who would want to go to Canada with that? Fucking
soy bite.
Fucking ball root. I got a Twitter ban for fucking saying something about Justin Castro, and
he is clearly Castro's boy, isn't he?
Oh God, he's a dead spitting image of him.
Defo.
And they come back. They said your account has been suspended and you'll not be allowed back on until you either delete the tweet or you have to delete the tweet. And you know the wee bit to send you back. And I says, what I said was true. I'm not going to fucking delete it. Go fuck yourselves. And within an hour and a half, I got an email to say, sorry, we got it wrong. Your account.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a win. That's a rare win.
They even know he's a fucking prick too.
That is a rare win. That well done for sticking by your guns.
Oh,
That's what I did with my last Twitter account, man. I was like constantly getting shit off them, and in the end, I just deleted the account entirely. Like they were just like, "Fuck you," and it was because I've talked about it on my stream. I played a video of what's he called? That obnoxious little twat on daytime TV in England. It's not Jeremy Kyle. He's not as bad. What's the fucker? Jeremy Vine. Jeremy Vine. And he said, surely if people don't get the vaccine, they just deserve to die, don't they? And I went on his Twitter and said, deserve to die? Are you fucking mental? And because I typed the words deserve to die, they went, aha, we've got him. You know, because they ignore context when it suits him. He just made a death threat there and they fucking deleted my whole account. And I was like, he fucking said deserve to die in the video and I was responding to him, but they're not interested. Like, ignored all my appeals, your account's gone. So that just disappeared, that one.
I can't stand him. He's a sanctimonious, holier than thou prick.
Yeah. And he's a middle-aged man in lycra. He wears like, he dresses up like a twat, doesn't he?
Plus he's a cyclist with a fucking GoPro and he tries to shame everybody.
I hate them, yeah. My mate went kick fuck out the bloke in Borough because he went, aha, you're all on camera, and he was proper being a prick. And my mate went like got into physical altercation with him and just took the camera off him. Look, you might as well mug the cunt while you're at it.
I was driving home from the school run, what was it, 3 weeks ago, and one part of the road at the coast in Newcastle was blocked because there was a skip reversed in that the house was undergoing renovation. And my lane was free to go. And there's a big back up on the other way. So I thought, right, I'll just drive on. So this boy, big, fat, baldy bastard, bit like myself.
I was going to say, pop kettle, hell, fuck me.
You know.
You haven't got a lustrous head of hair, mate. That's not what he saw.
I just thought I would get that in there because there's probably some people who will say, fuck you, I want to be talking. But he's standing at the side of the road on the fucking footpath with like a high-vis vest. And as I'm coming up, he's like, waving it like this here. I'm thinking, what the fuck's wrong with that bollocks? And so I start to slow down. And then he jumps right in front of me and I had to stand the brakes and I put the window down, even though the door. I said, what the fuck are you at, mate? He says, I was telling you to stop. Yeah. I says, you're fucking stupid. That's the sign for slowing down. You never slow down. I says, I fucking did, you thick cunt. And then there was a few expletives exchanged and he threatened to pull me out over the bonnet, you know. Yeah. He called me a cunt and I called him a cunt and drove along. And my daughter just says to me, that was a wee bit uncomfortable, Daddy. But you know, it was just fucking people are so stupid and I'm not one to back away from a confrontation. So well, even though there's not, because of my condition, I'm fuck all good in the fight anymore, you know. Unless you got a good first dig in, but
you've got old man strength. You only need to get the first two on them, and you're all right. And you're all right. See, even with me, I'm not a bad-tempered bloke. Actually, you know, I'm agreeable in person, and it's rare for me to lose my rag. I think the only time it ever happened to me was about 10 years ago, and it was because I was apologetic, but the bloke was too much of a cunt. Do you know what I mean? I remember it well because I tried to I was on my phone talking to my mate Richie. I remember it really well because I even remember who I was talking to. It's a cockney mate of mine, Richie from the car. I was having a chat with him and I was like, yeah, all right, mate. And I went to step out on the road in like my dad's street. So it's like a residential area. The guy's probably doing about 20 mile an hour tops. I went to step out on the road and I didn't even look. I didn't look left or right. I just stepped out because I was on my phone. I was distracted. And he was about 30 feet away, maybe 20 feet away. And he had to touch his brakes. He didn't slam the brakes on, but he did have to brake. My fault. And I went, sorry, mate, like mouth the word, sorry, mate, because it was my fault. And he fucking went ballistic, and he was like, "You fucking wanker," and I was like, "Yeah, sorry." And then he proper started fucking giving it this, and at that point, I went from apologising and massively losing my rag because I was like, "I did apologise, and you're just being a cunt." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll phone you back, mate." And I've just hung the phone up, and I was like, "Come on in, you fucking daft old cunt!" And he shit himself, and I went over the fucking car. And I was proper going to lamp him, and it was only when I fucking opened his door and he looked like he was shitting himself, and he was about 55, 60. I calmed down and went. He went, "You stepped out in front of me." And I went, I did, but you're still a fucking daft cunt. And I calmed down and walked off. And when I told my dad that story, he was laughing, going, "You horrible bastard. You probably put him up his Sunday dinner, you fucking cunt." And I was like, it was his fault, though, because I apologised like 2 or 3 times. And it was only when he was constantly making hand gestures and calling me a cunt that I lost my fucking rag and said, "Well, come on in, you old cunt. Like, you shouldn't be threatening 30-year-old blokes when you're fucking 60. Giving it to Charlie Big Spuds. I'm sure when I'm 60, I'll have the years of experience. I'll be wise enough to not pick fights with blokes who could clearly fucking cripple me." So I lost my rag with that cunt. It just made my dad laugh because I told him, like, I said sorry several times and then I was going to kill him. So I was like, yeah, but it's a psychological thing, isn't it, road rage? It's like keyboard rage. Again, I'm a rational person, so I don't lose my rag easily. People are much more agreeable in person than they are in a car or behind a keyboard, because there's a big psychological reaction to being behind, either encased in a shell of steel or encased in your own 4 walls, typing with your cock out. It makes people feel safe. So I try and remember that when I'm online. Like I said, I'm sure that a lot of the people who troll me online, I could have a pleasant conversation with in person. Like, I know for a fact I could. Because it's a psychological condition it's part and parcel of being on the internet. So whenever you massively lose your rag, I do try and tell myself, like, I'm sure the bloke's not that much of a cunt. But it is still, it's easy to fall down that fucking path, isn't it? And just think, I absolutely despise this person with every fibre of my being.
A couple of right fucking go-tos with some people on Twitter. And actually we've resolved it on Twitter by, like, somebody, mostly me, saying, "All right, this fucking way's up here, you know, it's getting out of hand. We're reasonable people." But there's some that's just like, there's no fucking talking to you. And
I know. Yeah, I do think it's sad, though. I think that, you know, it's an interesting story to talk about, because I feel as if that's basically one of the reasons why things have got so crazy the last 10, 15 years, you know what I mean? Because of the internet becoming ubiquitous. Seems to have coincided with political discourse being completely dragged into the sewer. Like, it's got to be linked.
It certainly has, especially in the last probably more, 5, 7 years, because it used to be people could disagree but still have a debate, but now you're one or the other. And and a fucking right-wing Nazi who was away over here is now a fucking centrist. If you disagree with anything on the far left, you're a bloody Nazi. It's even like Clarence Thomas is fucking racist.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they have no argument.
You mean Lawrence Fox? Lawrence Fox, right?
No. Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court.
Clarence Thomas, right? I thought you meant. I thought you said Lawrence. I went Lawrence Thomas. Who the fuck's he? Clarence. Yeah, okay. The black Supreme Court justice is a fucking racist. Yeah.
They have no argument. It's all insults. And what was it? Maxine Waters came out today and said about Roe v. Wade, basically, to hell with the Supreme Court, we'll defy them. But if anybody else said that, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? But like I said, I think that's why they always cancel speech and disinvite speakers and try and successfully shut people like us up. Because, as I said, when discussing immigration, if you have an hour-long chat about it, nobody will think, 99% of people that are against this open borders bollocks, nobody will think those people are unreasonable or are saying anything that's not rational and logical and fair. Because it's fair, isn't it? It's fair. I'm saying we should have migration and we should be looking out for secular, educated individuals who can bring something to the table. But you have to have a process. You can't just collapse the board and say, every cunt moving, because the next thing, you fucking 8-year-olds are getting fingered above a kebab shop. It's not sensible. But they don't want to have the talk because they know if they have the talk, they'll lose the argument.
And then it's getting covered up because of we can't say anything against Evans because they're
they're
protected and we're going to be looking like the bad people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the grooming gangs. I said this years ago. Ultimately, nothing's more precious than the life of a child.
Yep.
And if the systematic torturing and raping of children was overlooked, there is nothing we won't overlook. People were like, oh, surely it'll change with the terrorism and the deaths. No. If you will allow foreign men to torture and rape children, you will allow anything. Because there's nothing worse than torturing and raping children. Murder's not as bad as torturing and raping children. You get a bloke who just goes, I fucking hate that cunt, and he stabs him in the eye in a pub brawl. He's not as reviled as someone who tortures and rapes children.
That's right.
Torturing and raping children on an industrial scale was ignored. And these dopey normies think the government's going to grasp the nettle because some terrorists occasionally murder a lot of people in London. They don't care.
No,
they don't care.
And the fact that it's taken that long to come into the mainstream is a bloody scandal in itself. And the other part of the scandal is, yes, that the police failures, they weren't even failures. They were complicit in it.
Yeah, they knew.
They need to go to fucking jail too.
Definitely.
So,
well, like I said, and this is what Farage was saying again. Farage always on the money with what he's saying. A lot of people think he's controlled opposition, but again, I'll take what I can get. It's all well and good that the far right are saying he's a controlled opposition, but I'll take what I can get. There's nobody who they put forward who actually says anything reasonable enough for me to get behind. The idea that I'd support deporting people that were born and raised in Britain is laughable, and I cannot get behind it, even though they've fucked up everything for 3 decades. Because it's very core, it's unfair. Because there's going to be a lot of people who are born and raised in this country that are exactly like me and thee politically. And I don't want to see those people punished by a broad brush scheme. So you can call Farage controlled opposition all you like, but I'll take what I can get. And he seems to be saying the right things. And that is another thing that he brought forward for his platform. He just said, at the end of the day, there's 3 things that need to happen. He made a video about it last week, and I watched it. And he was saying, we need to square away immigration and fucking lock the borders. We need to make sure that people are empowered to go back to work instead of keeping the welfare state on it like it is, where we've basically paid people to sit at fucking home and the whole country's not productive. And the most important one is to go through the civil service like a dose of bastard salt.
Oh, yes.
And that is definitely right. And he said that. He was like, the civil service needs fucking doing over. Like, they just need to get in there. We need to give them a big enough majority, some right or centre right, whatever you want to call them, alternative to the Conservatives, who just promise to go through the civil service like a dose of salt. And we need to fucking fundamentally change what the Americans call the deep state, because the people that are really pulling the strings, you can't vote in.
That's
you
right.
can't vote them in. This is why Brexit didn't happen. It hasn't fucking happened. It's happened in name only. Buy no. Get the fucking buy no's out. We haven't left. We're still beholden to the European Court of Human Rights, for fuck's sake, because the judges were installed by Tony Blair. Tony Blair made the Supreme Court. The civil servants pull the strings. That yes minister is fucking factually accurate and everybody knows it.
It really is. It's funny, but
it's funny because it's true. Like so much comedy.
Go back and through it all, it's just right nailed on the money.
Exactly.
Rachel.
It needs to happen. That Philip Rucknam is the one who shot down loads of Priti Patel's plans. So she sacked him. So he got £300,000. We can't afford to get rid of them all like that. We need to seriously dismantle it and say to them, you do your fucking job. You're politically neutral. And if you're not politically neutral, you get sacked. No questions asked.
That's it.
And until that happens, we are fucked. So like I said, long term, I'm black-pilled. I don't see it getting fixed long term. It's not going to get fixed in this government, and it's definitely not going to get fixed in the next election.
And I'm with you on that. The only way it's going to get fixed is until people see how bad it will be when it comes round the next time. And then they're like, oh, fuck. We can't live like this. And you have to go through that period of hardship, of total
fucking collapse.
Fucking collapse and lunacy. even more than we have now, if we could have, but there will be. And then people will start to realize it. Fuck me. All this woke shit that we would say, that's all right. Inclusivity and diversity and equality. It's not like equality of outcome that you want. It's equality of opportunity, but everybody wants equality of fucking outcome. Once it all goes to tits up, people will start to realize, you know what? This is fucking shit. And I've been suckered in. And is it going to be too late? Because of all the young ones that are coming through, like, fuck me. My daughter's going through, she's going to be doing the AQE, which was the old 11 plus, next year. Not even next year. Fuck me. It's going to be in November. And one of the schools, fuck, this fucking blew my mind. And I'm not going to name the school. They've got a fucking class where there's more LGBTQ fucking alphabet soup people than there is. Like, and there's fucking fairy. Do you know what a fairy is?
A fairy?
I
thought a fairy was just a slang term for a gay man. He's a fairy.
Aye, or some of the wee things that if you've had too much fucking Irish whiskey, you'll see at the bottom of your fucking garden.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they don't identify as anything but just a random animal, and they run about with a fucking tail on.
Oh, a furry. Yeah, furry. Yeah, I know what a furry is. Yeah.
It's just like, fuck me. And I says to her, there's no fucking way you're going to that school, because I couldn't go to a parent-teacher meeting. I couldn't go down like that because I wouldn't get past the fucking front door.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, I've told you, it's a good job I'm one of those sort of Gen X / millennial age. Born in '79, where you're nihilistic and you don't want kids. Because if I had fucking kids, I swear down, I'd be up at the primary school going apeshit if they had that bollocks, not rubbing it in my face.
No, like there was one instance in the school she's actually in where everybody's jumping on this Ukraine thing, and they had it right. We're going to have a fundraising day for Ukraine, and you have to dress up in white, or not white, blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
And I says to the wife, "There's no fucking way she's going in that. Nope, not happening." And the wife, she knows when I get serious like that, it's not going to fucking happen because I mostly know it. And I says, if you fucking send her to school like that, I'll go down and fucking march in and fucking grab her and bring her out.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
I should have said, I'm going to go down there in a Russian flag fucking draped over me and start going storming through the fucking playground, tearing.
Thankfully, she's daddy's girl and she knows what the score is, and she says to me, "Daddy, I don't want to go into school like that."
Yeah, because it's freedom of fucking choice as well. I hate the way they're like the Gestapo. You remember me? I said this about the poppies like a year ago or 2 years ago, whenever I was talking about. I don't like poppy fascists. If you're ignorant, brainwashed, and think that, that thick twat who played football for Celtic. If you're ignorant and brainwashed and you think the poppy is about British imperialism and it's not just about the dead working class kids who fucking die in wars, you have the right to be an ignorant fuck and you don't have to wear a poppy. I don't like poppy fascists.
Yep.
Because I'm an actual liberal. If you don't want to wear one, don't fucking wear one. I won't have a poppy. I won't even say anything. I'll wear mine and you won't wear yours and nothing will be said. But please stop acting like the fucking Gestapo. And that's what they're like with Ukraine. It's like, leave me alone. Get off my balls. I don't care about your bollocks fucking war because I pay attention. And you're free to be an ignorant twat. But this is what really angers me the most and why I get raged. Because the ones who call you ignorant, it's always their insult. Oh my God, you're ignorant. You're like Michael Jackson. Everyone was ignorant. He was off his fucking tits and everybody else was ignorant. And that's what pisses me off. It's like, I'm not ignorant. I read voraciously. I'm always reading and listening and paying attention. Yeah. You can ask questions about the Ukraine. I'll talk to you about, what about the fucking, in February of 2014 when there was a violent fucking insurrection and all this? They won't even know what they're talking about. 2014, in February, what happened? I know. But the ones who I argue with go, you're ignorant. That's what angers me. It's like I'm getting called ignorant by the dumbest motherfuckers on planet Earth. People who could just have been walking around for the last 4 years with their head in a fucking box. And all they do is watch Netflix and read The Guardian. And then they say, oh, you're ignorant. It's like, I know more about everything than you. So don't fucking call me ignorant.
And the war's going on for 100+ days. No, it's been going on for fucking 8 years.
Fucking years, yeah.
Yeah.
It started in
you just don't
2014.
hear about it, and you still don't hear about it unless you look at the right places where the people are actually in there on the front line, instead of part of their wee news propaganda tour,
Yeah, exactly. Ignorant. Like, cheers. There was a fucking coup. A democratically elected president got fucked off. And we like that because the oligarchs and George Soros fucking like that. And that's just a fact. But it does me head in. Regarding the nonsense, though, someone sent me one of them on Twitter saying how, I was talking about it yesterday, saying basically, I mean, in a nutshell, I'll lead on from what I was saying yesterday. If you make your entire identity about your sexuality, there's something wrong with you. Like when I was in my 20s, when you're actually really interested in tits, do you know what I mean? Your identity wasn't about sexuality. Me and my friends used to go out on the piss regularly, like all lucky enough to be raised and in the 80s and the 90s, when life was good and we still had plenty of disposable income and booze was cheap. We used to go out drinking 5-6 nights a week, loving life, right? And of course, you wanted to get fixed up when you were young, like going out on the piss. But it wasn't anywhere near defining what you were there, because first of all, we used to binge drink loads. If we were just all about trapping, picking up chicks, you'd be moderate with your drinking, wouldn't you? We used to go out boozing and you'd try and get your end away, but it was just an afterthought. And you'd spend your time having a crack, talking about footy, playing on the fruities, having a dance with the birds, just enjoying your fucking self. You weren't all about your sexuality. We didn't used to go to the pub all dressed in our best clothes and go, right then, what's the plan for getting our fucking end away tonight? Like, it wasn't what your life revolved around. So instantly, with these people, you can tell when someone is a sex pest. Like, you can tell when someone you doesn't trust them around your children. And I talked about it yesterday because I know gay men. I play 40k with a gay bloke. I don't care. He happens to be gay. We never talk about it, ever. He'd text me and say, do you want a game of 40k? And I'd go, yeah, I'll meet you at the game shop tomorrow at like 12. Can you do that? Yeah, we'll do that. I'd go down there. Now then, mate, how you doing? Fucking sound, play the game. At no point did he go, ooh, I've had some delicious cock today. It never fucking came up.
No.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, normal, because I'm not anti-LGBT, normal fucking people, the sexuality, because they realise that what you happen to put your cock in basically makes up about, well, it's not even 1%. I mean, unless I'm doing it wrong, it's 20 minutes twice a fucking week, right? That's it. It's not even 1% of your...
Well, you're fucking lucky then, because if I had to identify through my sexuality now, I've been married long enough now to identify as like the first...
Fossil.
The first intergalactic fucking wanker Han Solo.
Fossilized cock because you've been married 30 years. What I'm getting at is normal people don't make their identity about the sexuality. So you can ping these people a miles away, and as usual, you don't ping them because people go, oh, you're a bigot, you're ignorant. And it's like, no, you're just not willing to talk about reality. I mean, he's a good example. I always say it. If you meet a man who happens to be gay, you won't know he's gay for the first half an hour. And then he might mention it. He might go, oh, where's your missus living? You go, no, actually, I live with a bloke. You go, all right, then. It'll just come up briefly. And you forget about it. Those people I trust. Those people are normal. Yeah. But when someone just goes on about the sexuality all the time, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
They are thinking about it all the time. So there's something wrong with them. And have you read all the stories about that fucking Ezra Klein? Is it Ezra Klein, the sex pest, who Sargon and them made a video about, the actor?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No,
playing the Flash. And he's a proper fucking weirdo.
That's a good role for him to play, isn't it?
Yeah, but I could have told you that. This is what I'm saying about this always being proving me right. I could have told you he was a sexual predator years ago. Because the normal gay men or the normal lesbians or the normal gay people are just getting on with their life, and it's a little tiny aspect of the thing. When you like him, Ezra Miller, that's it. Ezra Klein's a fucking media mogul, isn't he?
Oh, no,
Ezra Miller, that's it.
Ethan
Thank you,
Klein.
Liam. Ezra Miller. He's fucking... I could have told you years ago he was going to be a criminal, felon, madman, groomer, sex pest, because instead of it just being an aspect of his personality, he was like waltzing along the red carpet in a frock with his fucking hair up, like going, ooh, hello. It's like, I just know you're mental. And I'll tell you what he is. I was right about it, because I've always said about how, like, you know, the ones who talk the most aggressively about women's rights have probably got a girl chained up in the fucking basement. It's so obvious. And that is the same with him. Like, he isn't even, I don't believe personally that he's even gay. I think he is a sexual predator, straight man who knows that it's easier to do by being gallivanting around saying they, them pronouns, wearing a skirt. Because I noticed reading all about him yesterday that the victims were always young lasses. They were always like 13-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls. They're young lasses. They're not boys. They're not men. He's not with a gay bloke. It's just bumming teenage girls. So I don't even think he's gay, or he's certainly not they, them. And I don't even think he's gay. I think he's a fucking sexual predator who knows it's easier to do in this day and age by coming out as androgynous and saying you're they, them, whilst raping little girls. I don't even think he's gay. I don't.
But that's the thing, that all this ideology and all this woke agenda and they, them, and he, she, and she, he, and dickhead and all that, is it's making it fucking easier for people like that to prey on people. Because, you know, like I saw a joke the other day, this hot woman, like really fucking hot, get into a car, she was just saying it, and not a car, fucking taxi, and the taxi driver says, you know, hey baby, you got a man? She says, I am a man. You know, and that was the end of the conversation. You know, but it's just making it so much easier for people to prey upon the vulnerable, because you're sure of it, you know, rapists identify as women, get put on a women's prison. Like, I always thought, well, it should be courts on the law went on facts, not feelings.
Yeah.
And you know, how can you deny biological bloody fact?
Well, you can't you? Because you're a commie and you don't care about facts. You make your own facts. You burn history books. You rewrite the history books, and you make.
Well, that's why I'm Han Solo now, because I'm too old to be pregnant.
Yeah, it's fucking mad, isn't it?
You know, I might look pregnant, but it's not.
That's exactly what.
Do you know what this is? This is fucking having a passion for whiskey and watching too many Blue Van Man videos.
Yeah, well, it's easy to get fat when you age, isn't it? I've definitely put 20 pounds on since I was 20. The thing is, right, I mean, I'm going to have to wrap it up soon, because my missus is going to be fucking bringing me lunch back in a tray.
And then slapping you over the head with it.
Yeah, no, but I think that's a good place that we can wrap it up. But that is linked to what we were talking about earlier as well, with regards to humans being manipulative and clever, good liars, and just doing whatever they think can make the life easier, with regards to like sexual predators pretending to be women or trans or whatever, because it's even linked with everything else under the intersectionality umbrella. It's also related to religion and ethnicity as well, isn't it? Because just two examples, the Manchester bomber was very, very suspicious, and at least 3 security guards seen him and said he's definitely suspicious, but they didn't want to say anything because they didn't want to get accused of being racist. And obviously, all the grooming gangs, another one. It's like basically political correctness has not only fucked up the economy and fucked up your quality of life, it's also fucked up the legal system and your safety, because now you've got rapists and criminals and creeps and killers, and people are 10 times more reticent about actually stopping the crime before it happens, because they're concerned about political correctness. So the whole world's going to hell in a handbasket. It's not just economics and politics. It's even your personal safety. We are in serious shit.
You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. If you stop them because they look suspicious and they haven't got anything on them, you're fucked. If you stop them and by chance they're one of the very few percentile that have something, you're a fucking hero. But if it's the other way around and something happens, you're under the bus.
Even if they have a knife, you fuck now. Did you read about that young girl who had a knife?
It's because you just profiled him. It wasn't the fact he had a knife, you profiled him.
She had 2 knives and she said they were self-harm. So the copper got bollocked and she got fucking compo and she was guilty as sin for stabbing someone. It's
I'm glad I'm so not glad the way it happened. I'm so glad I'm not in now because I would never last.
No.
I was bad enough 3 years ago when I got medically retired, but fuck the way things are going.
Now. My mate,
when I got medically retired, I would have got sacked.
My mate Jim joined the Met.
Or left.
He was only in for like 3 or 4 years and he left. He's totally demoralised. He was a detective as well.
I'm too principled for bowing down to this shite. And a lot of people have a go at me online when I say things, oh, you're sitting behind a keyboard. No, you don't fucking know me. I take a stand, and I've done it before several times and walked out of jobs and different things. Fuck it.
Aye, we're in the fucking shit. But as we said, it's got to get worse before it gets better because the normies ain't going to pay attention. Well, as we said about history repeating itself, the normies ain't going to pay attention until there's power cuts, unburied dead, food shortages, and widespread civil unrest. Alas, it's the human condition. Prevention is better than a cure, but we always end up with a fucking cure, don't we? We don't like prevention. Prevention requires you to fucking read. So
that's it. We'll have to call each other Paul and Pot, and then it'll all go. I was reading up about him today too. Fuck.
Oh, he's a good one. The Khmer Rouge. Again, say to a lefty who calls you ignorant, what about the Khmer Rouge? They won't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
Never heard the fucking word.
Where that started and where it ended and what happened in between.
Aye.
That's a whole other video, that.
It is indeed. Right, we'll call it there, mate, because I want to go and eat a cheeseburger like a fat yank. I'll talk to you again very soon. Thanks to everybody in the chat. I enjoyed that. I haven't talked to you for a while.
Well, I know I enjoyed it too. I have to go and try to make myself some food before the wife brings the daughter home from youth club, you know.
Fair dues. We'll do this again soon, though. I always enjoy sitting down, talking the shit, shooting the shit. All right. I'm glad you're doing all right. Cheers, mate. See you around.
All right. Take care, Andy. Cheers.
Toodles. Everyone in the chat, thanks for watching. I'll see you all on Monday. Have a fucking marvellous weekend. Don't get too pissed. I'll see you very soon. Cheers, easy. See you later.